I know Giannis is he's gonna dominate everybody that's smaller and weaker. I get that. But what Ja Morant can do, Lord have mercy. I gotta tell you, I can't sit up there and definitively say I'd rather have Giannis come playoff time at this moment.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, that might just be the most ridiculous thing that's ever been put on television. I'm serious. Remember when TV was good? Not just Stephen A. yelling random stuff. I mean, come on. Wait a minute. What's this? What do we have here?
I am the danger. A guy opens his door and gets shot, and you think that of me? No. I am the one who knocks.
Oh, heck yeah, that's what's up. That is what I needed. That is good TV right there. I mean, just award-winning, outstanding stuff. Just greatness on TV. Wow. What was I here to talk about again? The 2021-22 NBA season has been the breaking bad of Ja Morant's career. And by that, I mean breaking good, like really good. All-star starter on a wildly competitive Memphis Grizzlies team. Comparisons to former greats in their prime like Derrick Rose, as well the 7th highest selling jersey in 2022. Where his first 2 seasons in the association acted as a pilot episode for his career, a rough outline of the greatness to come, this is a no rough stuff type deal. Ja Morant is legit, and as he continues to ascend as one of the faces in the NBA, let's recount just how he got here. Demetrius Jamel Ja Morant was born just before the turn of the century in mid-1999. Like many a feel-good movie, today's story begins in a small town. Here in Ja's case, the town of Dalzell, South Carolina. Dalzell had just surpassed the 3,000 mark in terms of population when last reported. Shouts to the good folks for that accomplishment. But in addition to the current Grizzlies point guard, it was also once home to a guy by the name of Ray Allen. Before Ray became Jesus Shuttlesworth and the man to elicit Mike Breen's greatest bang call ever, he was filling it up at Hillcrest High School in Dalzell. Running alongside him was an undersized guard by the name of Ja Morant, a young man with enough talent to play a bit in college and semi-professionally, but who'd eventually forego his basketball aspirations to raise his son. His son was Ja Morant, right? You guys keeping up? Ja's dad, Ja Morant, played high school ball with Ray Allen. Cool. No doubt guided by the knowledge acquired while playing alongside future NBAers, Ja Morant quickly took to acting as his son's Mr. Miyagi. The elder Morant would train his son with specific workouts advantageous to small hoopers. Separation drills, step back jumpers, increased strength and agility with resistance training and parachute drills. The most interesting tidbit is that T bought large tractor tires so Ja could practice jumping with a soft landing, eventually needing to buy wooden planks to raise those tires even higher. In addition to helping his son cultivate athletic gifts that have clearly set him apart at the NBA level, Ja Morant also verbally berated his son at times during their training. Oh, like not in a bad way, I don't think anyways. I mean, it was Ja who shared the story of his dad heckling him.
As I got older, I realized what he was doing. He was just preparing me for crowds or people saying bad things about me, and like I said, he was my hater before I had some, so if I can take it from him, I can take it from anybody.
And with the perfect mixture of skill-based workouts, athleticism training, and mental toughness exercises as his foundation, young Ja Morant would ascend from his father's dojo and enter the next phase of his basketball career. Our first of a few run-ins in this video with Zion Williamson occurs at this point in Ja Morant's timeline, as believe it or not, the two young studs did indeed play together on the AAU circuit way back when. Prior to Ja's sophomore year in high school and Zion's freshman year, the two were teammates on a low-profile team called the South Carolina Hornets. Now I say low-profile because they played in a small region, didn't have a shoe company sponsoring them, and didn't garner either player much national attention. Regardless of that, Ja Morant would spend the ensuing 3 years carving out an intriguing and productive high school career of his own. While attending Crestwood High School in nearby Sumter, South Carolina, Morant would become the all-time leading scorer in school history, would average 27, 8, and 8 over his final 2 seasons, would earn South Carolina Class 3A All-State honors twice, and would be named All-Region MVP 3 times. Additionally, Ja would grow from 5'9" to around 6 foot even during his first 3 years of high school, and because he was so undersized, he only threw down his first official in-game dunk during his senior year. Yeah, the man who seemingly has a 100-inch vertical wasn't dunking until he was a senior. That's low-key inspiring. But despite the raw numbers and what we can assume with hindsight were increasingly freakish athletic abilities, young Ja Morant was overlooked entirely by the recruiting community as he prepared to enter the college ranks. All three outlets of Rivals, 24/7 Sports, and effing ESPN had this man unranked coming out of high school. And now look at Ja Morant. Look at him. I know it's unlikely, but if you weren't already hooked on Ja Morant's rise to stardom, well, get ready, there's just so much more craziness. As established, Ja was a literal unknown coming out of high school, and we'll get to how he eventually did land at a Div 1 school in a moment, but even upon committing to Murray State, the other schools offering him a spot were Duquesne, Maryland Eastern Shore, South Carolina State, and Wofford. Not exactly a murderer's row of big name schools right there. Instead, Morant would end up in Kentucky at Murray State University, and as if he were Hillary Duff, it was a true Cinderella story. Then Murray State assistant coach James Kane was attending a basketball camp in South Carolina with a mission laid out to watch the Racers' top target, a player named Tevin Brown. While there, Kane got hungry. Trust me, it's an important part of the story. My guy was in desperate need of some nachos or maybe just a Snickers bar or a bag of chips or something, but instead of finding the concession he was so desperately searching for, he'd actually stumble into an auxiliary gym where Ja Morant was playing some 3-on-3. From there, the story goes that Kane watched for a bit, liked what he saw, and lobbied for Ja to be added to the main gym so he could watch him play against other potential recruits. Reportedly, Ja would be added to the main gym, and in a 5-on-5 game matched up against the aforementioned Tevin Brown, Ja would score about 30 points, leaving Kane astonished that he didn't have more interest from other schools. Morant, along with his family, made the decision to commit to Murray State on September 3rd, 2016, with his father saying of the decision, quote, "Ja is a people person and he loves unity, so that's why he's so great with being at Murray State." In comparison to hundreds of other collegiate players who began their careers firing on all cylinders, grabbing the attention of the basketball world, again it was more of a slow burn for Ja Morant. In his freshman season at Murray State, he would indeed start all 32 games in which he played, averaging a modest 12.7 points per game with 6.5 rebounds and 6.3 assists. The low visibility of Murray State relative to bigger schools surely helped keep a lid on the Morant hype, but the kid did notch the first triple-double in school history in late 2017. As well, he finished first team all OVC, finished 14th in the nation in assists, and helped push the Racers into the NCAA tourney. After a first round exit from the Big Show, Ja would undoubtedly use that as motivation, and it paid off. In a big way. Prior to his sophomore season, Morant would attend Chris Paul's elite point guard camp, showing he was certainly on the map in some capacity. In his season debut against Wright State, the flashy guard would drop 26 points and 11 assists, just a droplet of what was to come in a massive season. In consecutive games in November of 2018, Ja Morant would dismantle Missouri State with a line of 29 points, 13 rebounds, and 12 assists. As a follow-up, in a tough 6-point loss to Alabama, Ja would notch a season-high 38 points in truly unstoppable fashion. Missouri State head coach Dana Ford would say of Ja, quote, "He sees the play before it develops. He's turnover prone, but that's correctable. He's a little bit of John Wall mixed with Chris Paul. He's special." While former NBAer turned Alabama head coach Avery Johnson would say, quote, "When I saw him on film, to watch him play in person, it was better than on film. We gave him about 5 or 6 different looks. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't." These performances, coupled with the praise from respected college coaches around the country, saw Ja Morant enter a new phase in his career, a phase in which folks were actually beginning to pay attention to him. In early December 2018, Ja Morant had finally rose in draft discussions and was being moderately projected out as a top 10 pick, and by the end of December, some forward thinkers had the cojones to suggest he might go top 3. It was also at this time that Joe Q NBA fans such as myself, and probably you watching this video, actually became aware of Ja Morant. As somewhat in the mold of Zion, Ja finally began to grace our timelines with viral feats of athleticism on the court. Whether it was superhuman bounce to get up and block a shot with 2 hands, or literally jumping over dudes on the fast break, Ja had finally captured social media attention, and rightfully so. Ja broke a number of Murray State School records in his sophomore season en route to being named OVC Player of the Year, first team All-OVC, All-American, and leading the NCAA in assists. He'd win OVC tournament MVP after hitting a game winner in the semifinal.
I am not letting him be isolated alone at the top.
Spinning. He gets the foul and the basket.
After lifting the Racers into the NCAA tournament for a second straight season, as a 12 seed, Ja led his team to an upset over the 5 seed Marquette, with the kid notching a triple-double in the process. An insane 17, 11, 16 line, just the 8th triple-double in tournament history. Unfortunately, their potential Cinderella run was ended in the second round, with Ja putting up 28 points in a loss to Florida State. But in a truly remarkable sophomore season in the NCAA, Ja Morant saw his draft stock skyrocket, with a final stat line of 24.5 points, 5.7 rebounds, and 10 assists per game on 50, 36, 81% shooting splits. That's not too shabby, not at all. Like, to say the least, that's not too shabby. The 2019 NBA draft carried a great deal of hype thanks in large part to projected first overall pick, a guy by the name of Zion Williamson. Zion was the most recent in a long list of names to receive the distinction, the next LeBron. Not necessarily for his body build or skill set, but because of the hope he carried as a potentially franchise-altering player, as well for the hype surrounding him from a young age. Like LeBron, basketball fans became hyper-aware of Zion Williamson from the time he was a freshman in high school, through his single season at Duke, and on to his eventual selection in the NBA draft. Anyone who's been around the internet in the past 5 or 6 years will surely remember the videos of Zion in high school, matched up with some microscopic 14-year-old who was probably thinking about his missed chemistry assignment while trying to avoid being placed in the basket by Zion. The hype was warranted though, as Williamson looked every bit the part of next big NBA thing as he dominated at Duke, averaging 23 points, 9 rebounds per game as a freshman, and was projected to be the #1 overall draft pick by, well, everybody. Now let me just pause this video right here. I need to say, this is not an anti-Zion Williamson video. I'm not a hater or a disbeliever just because he's had a rocky start to his career. I mean, I'm pretty confident we'll be talking about Zion Williamson as an all-time great in like a decade or so, but I think those conversations will also be had about Ja Morant too. With all that being said, as predicted, the New Orleans Pelicans would make Zion Williamson the first overall pick in the draft, and our guy Ja Morant fell to the 2 spot where he was snatched up by the Memphis Grizzlies.
My mindset was just to keep working and believe in myself and keep God first, and that eventually everything will pay off.
Back in spring of 2015, the Memphis Grizzlies found themselves locked in a true playoff battle with Steph Curry and the upstart Golden State Warriors. It was their 5th straight playoff appearance in a streak that would eventually reach 7, and it was probably their best shot at reaching a finals. Led by Marc Gasol, Mike Conley, Zach Randolph, and Tony Allen, the grit and grind Grizzlies would fall in 6 games to the eventual champion Warriors, thanks in part to Conley being banged up in the series. That second round loss would be followed up by a pair of first round exits in 2016 and 17, then a steep decline in the ensuing years. Randolph and Allen would depart Memphis, while Conley would miss most of the 17-18 season as Memphis won just 22 games. The Grizz would snag Jaren Jackson Jr. 4th overall in the 2018 draft, and at the 2019 trade deadline, franchise cornerstone Marc Gasol was dealt to the Toronto Raptors. After finishing the season 33-49, the Grizzlies had just an outside shot at getting a top pick in the draft. However, the lottery clutched up for them as Memphis landed at the 2 spot. Perhaps armed with the knowledge that they were planning to draft Morant, a point guard, the Grizz would deal their other franchise cornerstone Mike Conley just prior to the draft. In return, the Grizzlies would be able to grab Brandon Clark at the draft, free up some cap space, and more importantly, signal a new direction for the franchise, of course with Ja Morant at the forefront. Heading into the 2019-20 NBA season, expectations were understandably low for the fresh off the draft lottery Memphis Grizzlies. Most outlets were in sync in terms of projecting the Grizz to miss the playoffs, and again, not all that surprising. Ja Morant made his NBA debut in October 2019 with a reasonable showing against the Miami Heat. He put up 14, 4, and 4 while being overshadowed by fellow rookie Kendrick Nunn. Less than a month later, in just his 11th career game, Ja Morant gave fans a taste of what was to come down the road. His first career double-double thanks to 23 points and 11 assists against the Hornets, and with the game on the line,
down the lane, lays it up, it is!
Yeah, his first ever game winner, showing his relative unstoppability when attacking the paint too. Ja would find his footing and then some over the first 37 games of the 1920 season, averaging about 18 points, 7 assists per contest, all while leading the Grizzlies to a respectable 20-22 record. Right around that time, however, on January 22nd, 2020, Zion Williamson finally made his debut in the NBA for the Pelicans. And my oh my, he debuted. He debuted hard. In just 18 minutes of action, Williamson dropped 22 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists, including 4 of 4 shooting from deep. Over the course of about an hour, the NBA world had found their new toy. The Zion Williamson takeover had officially begun. The big fella would play in 24 of the Pelicans' final 27 games before the season shut down, averaging 23 points, 6 rebounds per game on 58% shooting from the field. Akin to when Joel Embiid played in just 31 games during his rookie season back in 2017, Zion's late onslaught did generate some steam that he may indeed win the Rookie of the Year award. Fortunately though, sanity prevailed. Ja would win the award after finishing the season at the shutdown, averaging just a shade under 18 points a game and 7 assists on 49% shooting from the field. Thankfully, no Charles Barkley gaskets were harmed as a result of the decision, although one voter did cast their ballot for Zion, ruining Ja's bid for a unanimous victory. More importantly than the hardware though, Ja Morant was able to buck the predictions and lead Memphis to a 32-33 record, which was solid enough to have them in prime position to make the playoffs during the bubble restart. Unfortunately, however, the Grizzlies were largely lifeless at Disney World, as they'd go 2-6, eventually missing the playoffs altogether. Ja made sure to leave his stamp though, creating even more momentum for himself as a rookie. In a do-or-die loss to Portland, Morant outdueled the restart MVP Damian Lillard to the tune of 35 points and 8 assists in a losing effort. All told, Ja Morant's rookie season was a huge W and a fabulous indicator for the future, despite Zion stealing a few too many headlines. On the whole, season 2 for both Ja Morant and Zion Williamson would be spectacular. A healthy Zion loomed over the entire NBA like an imposing superhero figure as he'd suit up in 61 games in 2021, posting a per-game line of 27 and 7 on an astounding 61% shooting. It didn't translate to wins for the Pelicans, however, who'd missed the playoffs by a margin, but Zion was already being crowned by some outlets as a top 15 NBA player, a top 25 list that didn't include Ja Morant, by the way. For Ja, it was another season of relatively quiet yet truly awesome individual play. In the first game of the season, he'd set a new career high, dropping 44 points all over the San Antonio Spurs. Later on during the season, in March, Morant would notch yet another game winner in his young career, scooping home a lefty layup with under 2 seconds remaining to down the reigning East champion Miami Heat. It's also worth noting that after an early season injury which cost him 7 games, Ja missed the threshold for games played for the 2021 All-Star game. That technically meant he wasn't a snub, although in spirit, I'm sure he took it as such. When all was said and done, Ja saw just a minor uptick in stats when compared to his rookie campaign. 19 points, 7 assists, and 4 rebounds per game in year 2. Once again though, the more important thread to pull out was the one leading to a potential Grizzlies playoff berth, as Ja had led them to a 38-34 record, good for 9th in the West and a spot in the play-in tournament. This set up perfectly for the much needed national spotlight exposure for Morant. 2 do-or-die games to make the playoffs. And Ja would deliver. Game 1 against the Spurs was relatively ugly for all involved, as Morant would lead the way with 26-6 as the Grizzlies survived with a 4-point win. The real test for Memphis came in the second game, a matchup with scoring champ Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors. As he was apt to do in 2021, Curry absolutely got his in the game, 39 points on 13 of 28 shooting, but in response, punching back against a superstar matchup as he always does, Ja Morant went off. The sophomore would match Steph bucket for bucket, eventually finishing with 35 points of his own to go along with 6 assists. With time waning in OT, Morant would toss on his backpack and go to work for the Grizzlies. First, he narrowly avoided getting bottled up by Draymond Green, contorting a pass to Xavier Tillman for a clutch 3. Then he isolated on Curry with under a minute remaining, muscling into the paint for a tough bucket. Finally, to put the nail in the Warriors' coffin,
Morant makes his move, spins in the paint, turns, puts it up, puts it in! Ja Morant knocks it down!
And the Grizzlies had booked themselves a spot in the playoffs. Memphis was thoroughly outmatched in the playoffs against Utah, as the Jazz would eventually finish the series in a tidy 5 games. But that wasn't quick enough to prevent Ja Morant from leaving one final scorch mark on the season. In a Game 2 loss, the Grizzlies point guard would top his career high by scoring 47 points on 15 of 26 shooting, en route to averaging 30 a game in the series. Wow. Many predictions for the Grizzlies heading into the current 21-22 season were surprisingly lukewarm. A writer for Forbes suggested the quote best case scenario for Memphis was a top 6 seed in the West. Okay. Another outlet predicted a below 500 record for the Grizz, while yet another thought quote they'd at least put up a fight on both sides of the ball. Not exactly setting the bar very high there. Now for Ja Morant specifically, had I made this video prior to the 2021-22 season, I too would have most likely been exposed for underrating what was to come. And to be fair, it's because the uber athletic point guard has smashed literally everybody's expectations of what was to come in year 3 of his career. No, but seriously, okay, if you claim to have seen this coming, this Morant explosion, I need receipts, okay, because I do not believe you. At the time of recording this video, Ja Morant has posted a line of 26.4 points, 6 rebounds, and 6.8 assists per game. He has scored 40 points on 3 occasions, he's eclipsed 30 points 17 different times, and the Memphis Grizzlies have the 3rd best record in the Western Conference.
Like, what the fuck?
Unsurprisingly, Ja's rapid ascent into superstardom has generated all sorts of comparisons to other point guards in his mold. And I'll be honest right here, I love a good comparison. 538 currently compares and projects Ja Morant to be on a similar trajectory to that of a number of talented point guards. For our sake, let's look at 2011 Derrick Rose and 2011 Russell Westbrook. Stylistically, the loose comparison, in my opinion, does make sense, in that all 3 of the players in question have otherworldly athleticism, a score-first mentality, and some relative deficiencies in terms of perimeter jump shooting. In 2011, Derrick Rose too found himself in his 3rd season, and I probably don't need to remind anyone of his story. He averaged 25, 4, and 8 per game en route to winning league MVP. In 2011, Russell Westbrook was also in his 3rd season, and he put up 22, 5, and 8 per game in a similar breakout season. I'll once again point out here that at this point in this season, Ja Morant is averaging 26, 6, and 7 in, of course, his 3rd NBA campaign. I know, okay, this was a lot of numbers, I get it, but trust me, I'm getting to a point. But first, let's look at this MS Paint looking chart I made. Talking about raw numbers, points, rebounds, assists, Ja Morant is clear in terms of scoring average, although the current game sees about 10 more points a game scored on the whole. Ja averages more boards than the other 2, but it's safe to assume he'll never quite match Russell Westbrook's insane rebounding output. All 3 players show a penchant for facilitating, with Ja pulling up the rear in that regard. But if I toss in a couple other helpful metrics, true shooting percentage and turnover rate, we can see that Ja is producing at an even more efficient manner than Rose or Westbrook. The final stat I'll point out, this season Ja Morant is currently 3rd in the league in points in the paint at over 14 per game. In comparison, Westbrook and Rose finished 14th and 15th respectively in 2011, both at just a shade over 10 paint points per game. Where all 3 play similar in terms of attacking the rim, it's pretty clear Ja Morant is the most relentless and effective. So long story short, I do think the Ja Morant Derrick Rose comparison makes sense, because the former is on an insane trajectory. As always, the humble Morant has stated he personally doesn't love the comparisons to Derrick Rose, and I get that, I really do, but it's clear that fans such as myself see a young, athletic point guard in his 3rd NBA season taking a leap, both figuratively and literally, a leap that was not at all predicted, and could certainly land Morant in all-time great discussions. It's not too late to jump on the Ja Morant bandwagon, but you better hurry, because you're not going to want to miss a second of the ride.
Obviously, it's an individual award, but I got to give a lot of credit to my team, my coaches. They put me in position to be an all-star starter, and then my mindset, it never changed, man. Continue to work hard and never be satisfied. So it was only right I come out and put on a performance tonight and get a win.